Making vampires hang out in broad daylight in sunny San Diego in the middle of the summer is the meanest thing you can do, short of a stake through the heart. But what can you say? We're horrible people. Joining me now under our very bright studio lights, the wonderful people responsible for what we do in the shadows, Mark Proksch, Matt Berry, Kristen Schaal, Harvey Guillén, Paul Sims, and Stefani Robinson. Thank you guys so much for coming.
That's so nice.
Now this season feels like a complete reset. Everyone kind of comes back from their world travels and kind of like going through raising a baby. So what kind of dynamics can we expect to change in the next season?
What, in the season after this one or this current season?
Well, this season and the season coming after.
I don't know, Harvey?
We find this season that we are proving of nurture versus nature with raising Colin Robinson, and we find out that there is a paternal side to Laszlo, and Guillermo's on a quest to find if he is happy in the role that he plays in life and his personal self, and we find that the guide might have a thing for Guillermo, and there's a lot of things happening this season.
That's right.
I feel like this season, you guys, it feels like they're more of a family, I think. I think this has always been a family sitcom in a way without us going out of our way to say it, but I think this is a season where we really explored those dynamics, I think, head on. It's very heartwarming,
Yes.
I would say.
And also, speaking of family, this season is where we meet Guillermo's whole family in an episode that's coming up that's very exciting.
Yeah, and it takes a village to raise a boy. In this case, it's Colin Robinson. Can you talk to us about like what is something each of you would teach the boy, if you could? Wrong answers only. It doesn't have to be pertinent to the season. For wrong answers only, we'll start with you, Matt Berry.
Good manners.
Schaal?
Great answer.
Yeah. You know, I would teach the boy to be kind and that they're no better than anybody else.
I love that. Harvey?
I guess I kind of did this in the season, teach him about musical theater and the arts. I
Really?
love teach a boy the arts.
I would teach, this was also dealt with in this season, I would teach him that he can just say whatever he's thinking without saying guess what before. But that's one of the most satisfying parts for me in the season is when Laszlo says, just say what you're going to say. You don't have to say guess what before everything.
Stephanie?
I don't know, I just like teach him how to be rock and roll, man, you know what I mean? All that other stuff, like he's got to be rock and roll.
Definitely, because it's a lot more fun. Now we get to learn a little bit more about energy vampires. Are they an imminent threat, Stephanie? It's just like, are we going to see kind of like more about energy vampires in particular?
I think that's always a yes, wouldn't you say? I think we're always excited to dive more into who Colin is as a person and how he became an energy vampire, but also just populating more of the universe with them.
I think part of this season was also just examining if children are energy vampires, which those of us who have kids say that they are maybe a little bit unintentionally.
Unintentionally. So production-wise, how was it to have, obviously, children on set? You probably had to have some manners, like careful with cursing and stuff like that. But having a child actually be the body of Colin Robinson and then have Mark's face, how was that done? It was in post-production and like during the stage set?
It was multiple children. Some were good at tap dancing. Other ones were good at hitting their marks and running around like little kids. It was difficult. The key to it was that we realized we could not really just do it all with computers and that it had to be Mark's head, actual head on there. And fortunately, Mark's head was available, and we managed to finish the whole season. But also the kids we had an actual therapist there for the kids to say, it's a grown-up show, there's gonna be some scary stuff, you might hear some bad words, and they were all fine with it.
Yeah, just don't repeat what bad words you hear, of course.
Some of the kids, it was their first time, one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. During a scene in water while a child is wailing around, it was like playtime for them. But then we had to film it for the show, so it was also like it's work, but it was fun for them. But
Yeah,
And isn't it always a little bit playtime for all of us?
yeah, it's always
It's the work playtime, yes.
Even at 3, 4 a.m.
It's late night,
It's
staying up
time.
late at a
Been there since the
sleepover,
morning.
playtime.
pillow fight.
That made a party!
Now, Mark, how was it for you just to be able to just show your face and have different emotions? Were you able to just like do whatever?
No.
No.
I wasn't able to do just.
you know, it was a really kind of a complicated process of green screen and figuring out how a toddler Colin Robinson would act, and then as he grows older and goes through different stages, how the character would act as opposed to how I always play Colin Robinson. So it was a kind of a long, complex process that took about a year and a half of discussing different ways to do it, different ways I should perform it. A lot of YouTube watching of teens and tweens having meltdowns. Yeah, and it was hard not being able to play off the rest of the cast. Matt especially, most of my scenes are with Matt, and we both love to improvise quite a bit, so that was a bit constraining.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of chemistry between Laszlo and Colin Robinson. Laszlo obviously finds out that that you're going to die, and so what was that like? It was like a dynamic change, obviously, from the previous season.
Yeah, well, I found out before anyone else, because you told me when I was at home in London, and I thought he's been killed off. Oh. So I was like, geez, that's pretty harsh. He didn't mean that. What he meant was he was going to die, then he was going to come back, obviously. So it's a great idea, to kill someone and then to bring them back immediately, I think, in the next series.
I also did have to call Mark when Colin's character dies and go like, all right, don't worry, this is not, we still like you.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's a cartoon. I didn't think I was killed off. But, it was reassuring nonetheless.
We considered all the options, right?
And obviously raising a boy is different. We're in the household of vampires, everyone has like their own agenda, but then they come back and they see this boy. How was that dynamic raising the child? Harvey, you play obviously Guillermo, and it's like you have to pretty much help like take care of the baby while everyone else is off probably sucking blood.
Well, I mean, he was on his way out the door. He had been, screwed by this group of vampires for the last time. He was heading out the door, but he decided to stay because there's a child now in the household, and that Nandor asked him to be his best man at his wedding soon to be, and to first help him find a bride. So it was nice to kind of like feel that there was always a hook to have Guillermo stay behind. But like Guillermo says in the episode that just happened, my mom worked a lot when I was little, and that was, no kid should have to go through that. And so it was more of staying behind and helping kind of co-parent this child, where like I guess online they've named him Theo Memo, which is Uncle Memo, because there is a nurturing side to Guillermo. He knows what it's like to be without a parental figure for a long time. He doesn't want that child, and kind of becomes co-parent with Laszlo, and we play that off each other. Someone's playing good cop, bad cop, and someone wants him to do musical theater, and Laszlo does not. So it was nice to play off. Matt and I don't really get to do a lot of things together, so it was nice to play off of him.
Thank you guys so much. Again, congratulations on the 5th and 6th season you guys have coming up. But that's all we have the time for today. But again, thank you guys so much for today.
Thank you.
You'll find more What We Do in the Shadows on Hulu and FX. But don't go anywhere because there's more What We Do at Comic-Con right here on IGN.